Hello, friends. Thanks for joining me today on Wednesday, July 8th. I'm Pastor Brent Juliet at Living Hope Church. I've recently been thinking on this concept, one person's trash is another person's treasure. We have now, our family, moved twice in 4 years' time. We moved from Fergus Falls to Menominee, and again, we've moved now within Menominee. And when you move from one house to another, you find things that you don't need, that you just don't want. But at the same time, you don't want to engage in the work of hauling it away, and you certainly don't want to pay someone to take it. So both in Fergus Falls and here in Menominee, we have tried the giveaway on the boulevard. You know, the boulevard, that strip of land that's maybe 10 feet wide between your sidewalk and the street. In Grand Forks, everybody called it the berm when we lived there. The berm, it never made a lot of sense to me. Because in Eau Claire, growing up, everybody called it the boulevard. I don't know what they called it in Fergus Falls. Maybe they just called it that strip of land between the sidewalk and the street. At any rate, we have discovered that you can put almost anything out there, including things that you think no one could possibly value. And eventually, someone's going to take it. We've unloaded everything from lawnmowers to appliances, old appliances, of course, to odd pieces of lumber, to odd paintings. And we're thinking now about putting buckets of rocks out there, but we fear they're going to take our good buckets and leave the rocks behind, which would defeat our purpose. Now, I'm thinking about this concept of trash and treasure in relation to the gospel, which is the good news about Jesus. Not because the gospel is like that thing that we put out there that has no value to us, quite the opposite. Jesus said the gospel is like treasure hidden in a field. I'm only thinking about it from the perspective of the passerby who sees that object that's marked as free. And what does that person think? Do they see that thing, quickly conclude it has no value, maybe because it is free, and they go on their way? Or do they see it, pause to examine it, and begin to think of what they could do with that, or what it could do for them? That's the gospel. In 1 Corinthians chapter 1, the Apostle Paul said, "But we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles. But to those whom God has called, both Jews and Greeks," so some of the Jews and some of the Gentiles are going to see it this way, "it is Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God." Some people walk right on by that free gospel. They see no value there. It's free, so it must be cheap, they reason. They'd rather earn their salvation, maybe by being good people. But others will see that free thing that you are offering, consider it, and they'll see how it fits them, their lives, how it brings them into a real relationship with God, and they realize the treasure that is freely theirs. I say all this to you because you can put that treasure of the gospel out there before people in very simple ways in your relationships and in your encounters with people on a daily basis. Many of them will not even take notice, will not give it a second thought. But do not be discouraged by that. Rather, be faithful to your calling received from the Lord, because God knows exactly who needs to hear that word of blessing from you today, and He knows who will receive it gladly. So there's your thought for today. Have a good day.